What are you reporting?
I just happened to glimpse and see this thing running across the yard.
Did you see what it was? Was it a person or an animal or?
A good-sized man, or something looks like a man.
Okay. You've had problems in the neighborhood before?
Yeah, my dog was killed here just recently. I don't know what it was.
Welcome to Sasquatch Hypotheses.
If I was going to take it, or whatever it was, it was Jesus Christ, you better...
Sure.
Dia!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
Son of a bitch is about 6'9".
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh. Is he in your yard, sir?
Yeah, God, he's big.
Okay, what's he doing in your yard?
He's looking at me.
And the guy is on foot.
I don't know what, it's a big, real big person.
But it is a person.
Yeah, I'd say it was a person, somebody really big, but he's all in black.
Is he a black male or a white male? Did you actually see whether, or was he just wearing black?
He's all black and he's big. He is big.
Back in November, I was contacted by a man named John who told me that he wanted to tell me about an incident that he was involved in 1988. He told me that he was diagnosed with some severe heart issues and didn't have much time to live, and this was basically a deathbed confession. Back in 1988, when he was 19 years old, he was assigned to SEAL Team 4, and on his third day after reaching his assignment, he was sent out on a mission, and this is his story. I've been 5 feet away from a Bigfoot looking it in the eye, so I understand. So you just take your time and do what you got to do.
Well, and that's even makes me even feel better, because what I'm about to tell you, you're going to know whether you're going to know if I'm telling you the truth and not trying to feed you some bullshit.
That's right, I will.
Right, and to be honest with you, and to when I go over this and I play the scenario in my head, it loops in my head because of the part of the PTSD of it. When this shit goes through your head and you think back and you look at it, you're like, man, there's no way this shit's fucking true. It's just and this is fucking mind blowing. I remember we were sitting for a long, long time, and it was almost 24 hours gone by, but they wouldn't let us come down from. We weren't allowed to come off of alert. And I'm thinking we can't be going too far if it's in helo. Then I overheard somebody say, one of the higher guys, one of the veteran guys, so what's up? And they said, oh, we're just going to go do like a training mission. It's very nonchalant at that time. It was, to them, it was, it did seem normal. You know what I mean? To them, they didn't, they weren't, there was no, if you're asking if it was like, were we getting in the game mode or anxiety? No, I didn't sense that. You know what I mean? Exactly. That's when I'm sorry. I'm trying to look back at this, and I remember it was just this very like a passing type of conversation. It was very short. He just said, hey, what's up? No. I want you to, because that actually helped me, because I want to make sure that I'm being correct in what I'm saying and setting the tone of what's going on with this. But if you're recording, I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. And then we get dropped off. We actually there was no the LZ. We end up actually soft roping from the helo to the ground. And they sort of made it like a contest. We were trying to beat, we were racing against the other two helicopters, you know what I mean? So, that even made it feel like more like we were, in a training situation, you know what I mean? Right, exactly. So we get up there and, I'm told to go see, we need to go, we're, making a perimeter and, securing the situation and, up there. The normal rigmarole shit that you've already, what I'm talking about. You've already been through all this. There's only 15 guys. There's only 15 of us. I'm sorry. I take that back. There's 15 of us with one officer. So then I hear talking amongst the men, and they thought, well, maybe we're out here. They didn't know what kind of exercise we were doing, and so they're trying to speculate on what we're doing out here, and we're out in the middle of nowhere, and and we're in the forest. I have no clue where in the hell I'm at. I don't, and when it wasn't that, it couldn't be that far. So we're setting up camp, and of course this particular officer is giving us orders, and we're getting everything set up, and we end up just being on the top of this, like a plateau. I wouldn't say we were on the summit of a mountain, but we were on like a lot of flat area or semi-flat area of a mountain. A truck rolls up, and this is where I get to where I know where I'm at, because this truck rolls up. It was a white Suburban with Pennsylvania tags. So I'm looking at my buddy Danny. I pointed to the tags, and I'm looking at this vehicle, and this guy comes out, and then he's rushed off, and he's going. It was two guys. They leave, and they go into the tent. They go into this tent area with the commanding officer and a couple E6s and an E7. So I'm going to say about a half an hour goes by, and we're brought in. We huddle up, and they say, this is what's going on. They said there's been a report of some missing couple with a child. We didn't see any search and rescue guys, or didn't see any helicopters, or no helos were flying in the area or looking around or nothing. We didn't see anything like that. And then when the guy said, well, how long, was trying to get information, the more information we have, the more, we're better off. We were asking for description of what they had on, and are we looking for a black couple, a white couple, Hispanic, the basic questions that you would ask, which I expected. I want, how long have they been missing? What time were they reported missing? Blah, blah, blah. But what threw me off was the two guys, okay? The two guys that were in that white vehicle, okay, they go in the back of the truck, okay, and they pull out this, to me, it looked like a TV antenna, like a small handheld, old school, you remember the old school antennas that were strapped onto chimneys back in the day. Yeah, well, yeah, like I guess that's, if you want to call it, yeah, that's what it looked like. It reminded me of it was a tracking device, right? So that we had we had sat link up, and to me that was some prehistoric shit. You know what I mean? I thought it was a little ironic. And this guy is with these two guys go with the team going on the forward team moving up, and I'm thinking it, and again, I'm not saying nothing. I'm thinking, well, I'm like, I mean, are these lost people got tracking devices or something on them? I'm like, I thought it was a little weird that this guy's got this, these headphones on, and he's got this antenna thing, and he's like standing around, and he's trying to pick up a signal on something. But to me, being an 18-year-old kid, and I'm sorry, that was nothing that I saw in my training. I'm like, my first thought was, I'm laughing. I'm like, look at this prehistoric shit. And then my second thought is like, who the hell are these two guys? And I want to ask that question. You know what I mean? My instincts are kicking off a little bit now. I'm like, well, who the hell are these two guys, and where'd they come from, and how they know that we were there? That's me. That's part of it. Like I said, I'm fresh out of training. You know what I mean? I want the questions asked. But again, like I said, I'm a boot camp, so I'm keeping my mouth shut and going with the flow. So they go with the northern group. About half an hour, 45 minutes after that, I could hear loud voices I could hear the comms to the guy's ear. He's got the earpiece in with the mic. I could hear, it was so loud that I could hear it through his guy screaming. And he's like, calm down, tell us where you are. And I guess he's giving him where he's at. And we're supposed to, he's talking to our spotter, or our the guy he's got a map, and we're trying to figure out where they are. And like I said, they're about a half a clip to 3/4 almost to a full,
All right, lay
mic
down.
away from us. So
Lay down.
we started heading in that direction. And as I get closer,
Go lay down.
I start hearing gunfire. So of course my heart's beating like a mile a minute. I'm like, why is there, these guys are shooting at a bear or something. What the hell's going on? But and at first, and now that I look back at it, but at first, it was actually all 5 of the guys were actually firing. We're basically almost like at the base of this mountain, and they're looking up, and of course we get there, and the guy's like, what the fuck's going on? What the hell's going on here? And then one of the guys says, he's freaking. He's like, a fucking big ass bear was throwing rocks, and he looks at him. He goes, come on, man, you guys are full of shit. And everybody's like, oh no, this thing's throwing rocks, and he's like what, pebbles or he goes, no, it's throwing big ass rocks, and I'm thinking they're bullshit too. But when we're at that base of this mountain, and there's pine trees and there's pine needles and stuff, and so it looks, there's rock all over the place. So what I mean, it's not like I could look and see, well, there was no, like, in my opinion, misplaced rock. I thought, maybe it's just. So I'm thinking, it's just some shit maybe falling down the side of the mountain, normal. No, these 5 guys are swearing up and down that there's it was a bear throwing rocks at them. Now I start concentrating on these 2 guys with that antenna thing that I was talking about, and they're frantic. They're not. I'm sorry, Rick. They're not frantic like they're scared. They're like trying to move this antenna around and try to pick up were the sound, this beat. And then the guy's like, well, yeah, we need to go this way. He was pointing us. And now the 10 of us there was only, at this point now, there's 10 of us. The East group is not caught up with us yet. So they radioed to the East group that we're going to, they're saying that we're going to move a couple clicks or a half a click in this direction, meet us there. We'll rendezvous at this particular, at these coordinates. And I'm watching one of the guys, and he's like, he's sort of pale almost looking, and he's sort of freaking out, and he's like, and I'm thinking to myself, being a special forces guy, you would think he's seen, he's pretty much been through, he's seen this shit, you know what I mean? Or he's been, he was really, I thought he was abnormally nervous for being a special operations guy, and me, I mean, my anxiety was up a little bit, but I wasn't, I was more freaked out over the gunfire than I was actually thinking of, I'm thinking the shit's actually semi funny, and these guys thinking that bears are throwing rocks at him. He was talking, I hear one of the guys talking. He goes, man, he goes, that bear was fast as shit. He goes, I've never seen a bear run that fast. And he was running on 2 legs, and I'm thinking to myself the whole damn time, is the bears don't run on 2 legs. They stand on 2 legs, but they don't run on 2 legs. And thankfully, another guy that a guy from Colorado, which I didn't know at the time. I found out later was from Colorado. He's like, he's been around. He said, man, I've been around bears all my life. I've never seen him run on 2 feet. He goes, you sure it was a bear? I said, you guys are seeing shit. Something's just not right. As we're walking there and the conversation's going on, and I remember the guy with the antenna thing was like telling us, he wanted us to, wanted quiet. So we, we were told comms, no comms, and we were, basically shut up so this guy could do whatever the hell he was doing. So about 15, 20 minutes goes up. He looks at the other guy because I got a signal. I got a hit. We got to go this way. You got to go this way. And Rick, this is what I don't understand is the that whole time is like nobody asked the question like what a hit on what, I mean, that to me I thought when I look back on it, nobody asked the question on what the fuck are you hitting, what are you talking about a hit on what?
So these guys with the DF equipment, were they civilians?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the guy here, we are in full camo, I'm geared. We got, and these guys are, and the one guy was in khaki pants with hiking boots and like an Azad shirt, and the other guy was in jeans and a flannel shirt. Yeah, it was, yeah, it was totally weird, to see. And I'm sure if anybody saw us out in the woods and you see this, you see these, you see all this military around with two guys standing in the middle of us with, this piece of equipment looking, they're civilians, look like everyday people. So anyway, he gets hit. And we picked up the pace as he's following this track. So I'm going to say we were moving pretty good. We weren't at a run, but we were at a light jog, following this guy. And then you hear him go, "Shit, I lost it," And then so we're standing around, and he's fiddling around with this. Rick, this thing had like a cord that came from the antenna that went to like a box that had a. All I could see was it had like a light on it, then it had a needle that went back and forth. Does that ring a bell to you?
Yeah, it's just a signal strength meter.
Is that what I had no clue on what that is. I do remember it was like it looked like a CB radio, basically is what it looked like. It had a couple knobs on it and then this big window, like a semi big piece of plastic with a white background that had a red needle that was going back and forth.
Yeah, it's just a receiver with a signal strength meter.
Okay, so anyway, the guy loses signal and so we're all stopping and we're just waiting. And then all of a sudden he says he said he has it. He has a signal again. So we go running again, and we're not running, but we're moving at a steady pace, keeping up with this guy. This guy was not. I'm going to say at that time he was in maybe his mid 40s. He wasn't in. These two civilian guys were not in the best of shape. They weren't. No triathlon type of guys. They weren't skinny, but you could tell they got the that middle-aged belly going. So they weren't that, they weren't in great shape, in my opinion.
So they seemed like lab weenies?
I'm sorry?
They seemed like laboratory weenies?
Yeah, nerdish. Very nerdish about them. They did, and ironically enough, one guy actually reminded me of the guy from Home Improvement. What's his name? Al. That's what he looked like. He had, he looked like that guy. But he had, they did have a sidearm on them. They both each all had, one had a 45 and the other one had a, which I thought was ironic for Bear. If he was telling us about Bear in the woods and he had a piece of shit like, Colt. So now it's getting right around, I'm saying it's getting close to 8-ish. So 820s around that area. So the guy's got the signal and we're outside, like I said, about 30, 40 yards away from this cave, like a cave entrance. It's not a big cave, but you could tell that to me, it looked like maybe an old mining entrance, like a mine entrance that could have been used for mining coal at some point. That was my first thought. And then I looked around, there was no logging trails or no roads going to this. It was just, there was nothing leading to this. It was, a lot of thick brush, and then you could see the black hole adjacent to the rock basin. So there was no, like I said, there was no cave, or there was no, not cave, but there was no roads or anything going into this particular spot. And bear with me, like I said, this is 1988. I wouldn't say it was skunk, but it was close to like a almost like a sulfur type of, like in urine type of smell. It's not skunk. Skunk is it's strong and it sticks with you. This was sort of faint. You know what I mean? It would come, you would smell it, and then it would like disappear. And then all of a sudden we'd smell it. I would smell it again. And of course, like a dumbass, I'm not asking questions. I just figured it was something coming out. It was maybe stagnant water or something. It was in that cave. That was my thought. Maybe it was just coming from that, or because it had that kind of stagnant, like water smell, like swamp. It's, you know, I guess it's the best way I can describe it. It's like a swamp, like almost like swamp gas. But it would come and go. You get a strong whiff of it, and then it would, like I said, it would go faint, and then you wouldn't smell it for a couple minutes, and then it would smell it again. So now at this point, the group that was off to the east is now rendezvoused with us. And it was ironic that when they were coming in, like, you guys smell that shit? He goes, man, what the hell is that, man? It sounds like it smells like a sewer system around this place, man. He goes, what the lead guy that was part of that patrol in the east was like, you guys smell that shit? And I'm sort of cracking up now because I thought I was the only one that was smelling it, But I think it might be one of maybe 5 times in my 14-year career that we actually were that many of us in one area. That wasn't common either. That's not common at all for us. We were all together, and my patrol leader, squad leader, that's what I really call him at the time, but I'm saying it so I don't give myself away here. So he's off, like I said, he was off talking to these 2 civilian guys, and the leader of my group, went and rendezvoused with him, and then I guess they called the other leader of the East Squad. I'm gonna call them the East Squad over, and they're all huddled up and talking, or surrounded and talking to this guy, and so I guess 10 minutes later they start walking towards the cave area, and we were told to stay put. No problem. At this point, I'm figuring they're gonna go look in this cave or whatever, and we're gonna move the heck on. So we're sitting there, and we're being quiet and just listening, and just waiting for our next orders. And then some time went by. It was a good 10, 15 minutes later, and one of the guys comes out of the cave, and he called out a name for a couple of the other guys to come in and join him in there, and they go, he's like, hurry up, get your ass over here, blah blah blah, I need you over here. And then again, this is now it's getting close to dark. So some time goes by, and they come out, man. This guy's like it's got this, one of the guys comes out, and he's got out of the cave, and he's got this perplexed type of look on his face, like that, like he's seen a ghost type of thing. So one of the guys was asking him, he's like, hey, what's going on? What's going on in there, man? He goes, you won't believe the shit that's in there. He goes, man, there's all kinds of stuff in there. There's like he was talking about coolers there was coolers in there, and shoes and clothes, and like pairs of pants, candy wrappers. I'm trying to think of everything that he was talking about. And he said, one of the guys says, well, with somebody squatting on the place, or they thought, he was like, it's probably some like homeless mountain man or some guy living in the damn thing. And he goes, well, yeah, maybe. He goes, but he goes, the way shit's scattered everywhere, and it stinks so bad in there, man. He goes, it's all, it smells, it smells like he goes, that's probably where the smell's coming from. He goes, it's awful in there, what I mean? It's, it almost makes you want to puke. He says, almost like a rotten egg type of smell in there. So these guys were in there for a while, and I must state right now, I never went in and saw what was inside the cave. I wasn't, I never got to, I wasn't invited in part of the clique to go in there and to see, to examine and see this myself. So some time's going by, and and they we have a crypto guy with us. They call him in there, and I guess he's taking he went in there and he was taking pictures or whatever. I don't know what he was exactly what he was doing in there. I'm just assuming that he was in there, called in there to take pictures of the scene or whatever. So again, I'm not saying nothing, or I'm just listening to the conversations between a couple of the guys that were out there with me standing guard while these guys were in the cave. And he was asking him questions. He's like, again, he was like, well, are there, they finding the missing people in there?
So did he ever indicate how much clothing he found?
Not specifically. He just said it mattered.
He said what now? You broke up.
It wasn't. What was really, because now that you mentioned it, I thought it was really odd. Is he says he goes, it wasn't. He never saw a complete pair of shoes. It was like a boot or one boot or one little shoe or a sandal. You know what I mean? It wasn't a complete set.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And then one of the guys, asked me, is there any blood or, was there blood or anything around? And he says, no, the floor of the cave had like a reddish clay on like a reddish type of clay. It was moisture. It was awfully moist, a lot of moisture in that particular cave, with like a reddish clay with rock, like red soil. Matter of fact, now I'm thinking about it, I can recall when he came out, his boots had like a mud, like a reddish mud around the bottom of his shoes. But they kept, asking. He's like, it was sort of freaky. It was like something he saw from like you would see from like a horror film. Like, oh, is there bones in there? Or, somebody was making jokes like, is there some, propped up guy with a skeleton in there with a guy with a bottle of Jack in his hand or something, you know what I mean? But the guy was, he seemed pretty freaked out about it. He was not freaked out to the sense that, that I was, he was hysterical or anything like that. It's just, you could tell there was like concern on his face about it.
Did he say that there were bones in there or not?
No, he did not. I honestly don't remember him. I do remember that being asked, and he did not answer that question. So I don't recall them. I don't recall him answering that question directly, but I do remember it being asked. And
well, did he seem like he didn't want to answer, or he was ambivalent either way?
To me, Rick, I think I because he was being bombarded by the questions, I think he didn't have a chance to really process of what the fuck he was looking at, that he was still more trying to get his bearings and trying to figure out or try to process. He was in that processing mode type of thing to me, is the best way I could describe it.
I mean, to the point of being almost shocky.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good analogy for it. He was like he was in shock. You know what I mean?
Well, it must have been pretty substantial then if he was in shock.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it was like, it wasn't a shock that we had to, he was going to, like it was.
Yeah, I don't mean like he has to be wheeled out on a gurney. I mean, but, in order for a special forces guy, or anyone military really who's been tactical, to be in shock, to where almost dumbfounded, like, that it had to be something substantial in there.
I think that's the better of the analogy of it. I think he was more dumbfounded. To me, like I said, and I'm trying to picture it in my head now, and the look that he had, it was like, to me, he was trying to process what he saw, and try to answer. To me, it was like he was trying to answer it in his head, like, but I do remember him. I do remember him looking back at one of the guys, a guy that was that I'm assuming, that I find out later was actually closer to him. he looked at it and he goes, man, it reminds me of Tent City. And I didn't at the time, didn't understand what Tent City meant, but I guess they had done an operation in Ethiopia, and the 10 cities were, they had done something in Africa in the 10, they call them 10 cities. It's the poor villages or whatever they were.
And this guy was in there too?
No, that guy was not in there. There was only, the 2 civilians, the 3 squad leaders, and the guy that was a crypto tech. This is the guy that the crypto tech is the guy that came out, and he was being barraged by questions.
So who was it that made the comment about Tent City if he hadn't been in there?
He made that. He looked over. He looked at over one of the guys. He goes, it was worse than Tent City in there.
Well, that would be substantial then.
Not 10. I'm sorry, Rick. It's not tent. It's 10. TIN.
Oh, okay, all right.
And then, which I later found out, some time, later, that when they were talking about 10 City, it was somewhere in Africa that they came across. I believe in Ethiopia, they call it 10 City. It's basically a slum in Africa. He goes, that reminded him of that, is what it reminded him of.
Well, in other words, it's like an area where people use junk and stuff to set up houses. I forget what the word is. It's gone out of my head, but that's what he's talking about. It was basically a whole junky, trashy area, and that was even worse. Right. So so I'm thinking, we're dealing with some squat, maybe it was an area that hunters might have spent the night at, and they might have just trashed the area. But that quickly went away when he was talking about the shoes, and the fact that there was no complete set of shoes. There was always he mentioned the fact that there was a child shoe. And I'm thinking to myself, what hunter, I hunt, and I don't remember ever taking my kids and them losing their shoes, and I would never take a small child with me on a hunting trip. You know what I mean? To me, that didn't make sense. Did he tell about how old the kid would have been? You're talking toddler or school age? Brought that question up, because that question was asked. That question, well, what kind of kids do? Are we talking, a small, a 10, 11, 12? He goes, no, he was saying maybe like between maybe 4 and a 6-year-old. Wow. So like a toddler. Right. And he said, and another thing that he pointed out about the shoe that brought flags up to me too at that time was the fact that he said it looked like it was sort of fresh. It hadn't had any discoloring to it, hadn't formed any mold or anything like it. It looked almost semi-new. It didn't look like it had been there for a while, like it had been placed there recently within 6 months period or whatever. It doesn't look like it'd been outside for a very, very long time. But at this point, there was no sign of violence, blood, that kind of thing. That was asked, and he said he did not see that. He did not answer that question. Okay, so there's no answer either way, one way or the other. Yeah, there was no answer to the blood, or there was no answer when he was questioned about the bones. But the bones, when they were talking to him about the bones, they were the guys were sort of joking about it. You know what I mean? They were thinking we'll find some old skeleton and with facial hair and a bottle of Jack leaning against the wall or whatever. You know what I mean? Some old guy died in there or something. So it was sort of they were trying to. They could tell he was sort of stressed. They were just trying to break the ease and sort of joke with him a little bit. That's the way I took it. I like I said, I don't know this guy. I've only known these guys 3 days. So I don't know these guys well enough to pick up on facial expressions or. I just didn't really have a vibe on these guys yet. These guys,
they've been, some of them have been together for 7, 8 years, and a couple of them been together for 4 or 5. And Danny, and to be honest, at that time, Danny and I were we were the rookies. We were the brand new guys. Like I said, it was 3 days that after I had just gotten there, that I'm now in the middle of the forest with in a valley between 2 mountains with 15 guys that I really just didn't really know that well. So I wasn't in that position to be able to joke with them, and I was just not fully comfortable with them where I could where I felt like I could ask questions, and or I just was not part of that. I wasn't part of the clique yet. I didn't feel like I was initiated enough to be able to, or have the entitlement to question or really. So I was more observant than I was anything. And then of course you're playing things through your mind. I didn't think it was that. To me, I wasn't in a panic mode or scared or anything. I just thought it was we just basically came across a hunter's dumping spot is way I took it. Until the shoe comment came up, and and at that point, I didn't even have kids at that time, but I still thought there was a flag that hey, wait a minute, why would there be a toddler shoe in this cave? You know what I mean? But I'm gonna say a good hour and 15, maybe hour and 20 minutes went by. Nothing was very uneventful, and I'm thinking to myself, we're basically just beating. We're not gonna find these people, or I'm just going through the motions. You know what I mean? I'm doing what I'm just doing my job. I was actually sitting there, I was thinking about and recollecting over what he was talking about, what they found in the cave. So an hour or so goes by, and the comms go haywire again. And my squad leader he's like, oh my God, we need to rendezvous now. Screaming at us, so we need to rendezvous with them now. And of course we have to huddle together because we need the guy that's got the map. We're like, well, where are they at? And, we're trying to figure out where these guys are at. They said they're around here. So we're scooting trying to get to them. I guess I'm about maybe 200 yards from them, and gunfire erupts. And I can hear like even over the gunfire, and this area I can hear trees being broken. And this loud like roar. It was a loud roar. It was actually bone chilling roar. Now at this point, now my adrenaline's running, and I have no clue what I'm running into. Like I said, I was 200 yards away. We're all at this point. We're rushing to get to the rendezvous point. I even flipped my, because it was dark and I had limbs smacking me on my helmet and on my face, and I was going to put the night vision down. I put the night vision down, and it sort of gave me that. It was gave me that tunnel vision. So I was afraid to run in that because I really didn't have any peripheral vision. My eyes had adjusted to the dark wall enough that I was managing pretty good through the woods, and I was still hearing the sound. The firefight was not very long. It was I want to say it lasted less than maybe 3 minutes. We rendezvoused with them, and then hearing the guys screaming.
Well,
I'm sorry.
3 minutes is a long time to fire on an unarmed individual. I mean, 3 minutes, it took a lot to put him down.
Well, this is the reason why. This is the reason, and I agree with you, 100% right. This is the reason why. So I rendezvous with this guy, and these guys are like, "Did you see that shit? Did you see that shit? Can you fucking believe it? What the fuck was that? What the fuck was that?" It was that type of commotion going on. And my squad leaders asking, "Did anybody get eyes on it? Did anybody get a shot on it? Did anybody use it?" And they were saying that it was moving quick as shit. So nobody's confirming that they hit it, and this is the first time the whole fucking day I've actually asked, so hit what? I'm like, hit what? I'm like, and then I was interrupted by, senior guys were like, what the fuck are you talking about? It? What are you talking about? It? So the squad leader, so we're spread out. We got to find it. We got to find it. And again, nobody's answering the damn question. What do you it? And we get to him, and he goes, and he's like, man, he goes, check this shit out. All right. So he puts the flashlight down on this thing. Rick, this thing is probably the biggest damn thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Okay. It's laying down at this point. It's laying down on its face. It's got its left arm. It's laying on its hand, and the right arm was extended above his head. All right. It was on its stomach. So, of course, I had my gun aimed on it because I don't know if this is dead or not, or if it's playing dead or whatever. I wasn't sure at all. And matter of fact, I actually stepped off a little bit and listened to the other guys. One of the other guys stepped and got a little bit closer to it, and then he poked it, and there was no movement, or we established that this thing was not alive. We roll in. We're looking at this thing. It's like, what in the fuck is this? I'm 18 years old. I've never, I know I heard about Sasquatch, but I've never, I don't know shit about anything about this, about them. Back then there was not much information on them, except, I remember seeing the Gimli film, when I was a kid, like 12 or 13.
So was the hair close cropped or really long, like an Afghan or something like that?
The hair around the back was really close, like almost like a silverback gorilla, like around the back area where around above the butt, like your lower back. And the hair on the back seemed really close, but the hair on the arms actually reminded me of like but the hair is not as long.
Reminded you of what? You broke up.
I'm sorry?
Reminded you of what? You broke up.
I'm sorry, Rick. I didn't hear you, man.
I said the hair on the arms reminded you of what? I didn't hear you because you broke up.
Oh, the hair on the arms reminded me of like Chewbacca from Star Wars.
Oh, so it was quite long, like an orangutan or something.
But not as long. You know what I mean? It was longer than all the other hair on the body, on the arms. I do remember that. And I remember seeing the right hand, the extended hand on the ground, and it was like the biggest hand I've ever seen in my life. It was huge. It was almost half the size of a damn basketball. It was so big, and the shoulders were so broad on this thing.
Did the fingers look normal, or did the four?
Yeah, they were dry and pointy, almost like monkey, like it was an ape's like hand is what it reminded me of. It had like the dry crackliness. It was very dry and very coarse.
So
I mean, I didn't touch it.
So leathery looking.
It at all, but that's what it looked like from what I could see from when the hand was extended. His it was like stacked, like he was cupping. You know what I mean? So the pinky was on the ground, and the three fingers were stacked up on top, and the thumb was down. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but what I mean is, did the hand look proportionate to a human, only just large, or did it look elongated like a monkey, like a chimpanzee or something?
No, to me they were elongated, like a chimpanzee. It had that natural, like a cup to it. To me,
So the palm was longer than a human.
I thought I wouldn't. I mean, of course, yeah, it was longer, but I thought it had more of a curvature than a normal. Do you know what I mean? A curve up like a almost like a cup type form. Like it was like almost cupped. But at the time when this thing is dead on the ground, but it was, I don't know if that was just the way it fell or yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Now that the hair on the ass, was that longer, and was there like fecal material all matted in it, or did it seem like it stayed fairly clean?
You know what? You got to give me a second here. I gotta head again. But I remember I thought it was ironic that the hair above the ass was shorter than the rest of to me, it didn't make sense. That looked a little odd. That was the first thing I saw. I'm trying to remember if I remember
I mean, it's okay if you don't remember. I'm just trying to find out what you might have noticed.
I remember the legs. I don't. I can't recollect whether or not. I really don't. I can't remember that. I can remember the features of the legs.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. I mean, I'm just trying to find out what you might have seen that you don't actually specifically remember. You might go, "Oh yeah, actually, now that you mention it, that kind of thing."
I remember the back being very muscular and the broad shoulders and just the.
Did you notice if the ass was muscular or just like a big pad?
To me, it was. I thought it was furrier. I didn't really see. I don't recall seeing a lot of detail. I remember. I think I was more amazed by the underlying muscle tone of this thing than I was anything. The biceps were just, even with the hair and the hair, when it's on the ground, this thing had a it was almost like it wasn't a dark color. It reminded me of almost like deer hair in the summer. You know how it gets that reddish. It's got a reddish look to it.
Have you seen my photo of the Bigfoot I saw?
No, I have not.
Okay, I'm going to post it up there. You keep going.
I can only see the back of its head. We hadn't seen its face yet. It had the dome shape, these broad shoulders, and I was actually amazed by the muscle tone that this thing had. And I'm thinking, what the. At that time, I was in about being in shape, and I'm thinking, what the hell is this thing eating out here to maintain that protein level to have this muscular build?
Okay, look at the chat section. I just posted the picture. I did this in a 3D modeling program.
The hair was not as auburn as that. It was more of it had an orangier. That's the color I'm looking for. That's the best way I could describe it. It actually looked. It was dark. It was darker. It was darker on the arms and almost like a orangish fringe. The tips, like the maybe 1.5 inches of the hair around it, around certain edges, had like a orange tint to it. I thought it was orange.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Maybe was it orange? Orange is not the color I'm looking for. It was two toned. You know what I mean? It was toned around the arm. It had a different color around the arms. And when we flipped it over, the face. I'm looking at the face that you have here. The face, it was ironic because I thought the nose looked very human-like. It didn't have a gap as wide as that.
Yeah, actually, my nose is not correct because this was when the MS started to really affect me, and it was getting very difficult for me to do it. The nose I'm not happy with. Have you ever seen the black guy that played the father on Good Times, or he was the Charlie's father's lover or whatever? He has a really
James Olmos or James.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, yeah.
Its nose was exactly like his.
That's you know what? That's actually a pretty damn good analogy. That's a reference. Yeah, yeah.
The nose was exactly like his. I just couldn't get it right, so I just left it like that.
And I remember the eyes. The eyes had this. Um, the eyes did not have any white in them. I don't remember seeing white in the eyes at all.
Well, I did because that's what drew me to the window when it was looking in the window. It was looking to my right at my cousin Teresa, so I could see the whites of its eyes, and I thought it was a reflection of something on the window. So, I mean, they don't have a lot, but it's there. At least the one I saw, yeah.
This one had more. It didn't have bare face as this either. This one had a lot more hair around its lips, and its lips look almost to me like a almost human like almost like a puffiness to it, like a like they were thick, like a slug, like a circular slug was around its mouth. It had a weird lips. They didn't look. I look at your picture and it more reminds me of a monkey. The only feature that reminded me of a monkey with him was his hands, his face. It did have that strong brow, very like cavemanish looking brow. I do remember that, but the eyes were almost like almost yellowish, almost actually not as deep as and intense as a owl, but it had like a yellow. I thought it was yellowish, like a maybe. Damn, I wish I could just.
You mean the eye color itself? You mean like a pit bull, maybe? Like a gold?
No, it was.
Were they dark or light or?
They were light, actually. They were very light. But I wouldn't say. Yes, I'm wrong there too. Because I hate this, man. I can see those eyes. I've seen those eyes a million times played into my head, and I can't describe them. And this is driving me crazy.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But you're saying the colored part of the eye took up the majority of the eye, if not all of it.
Yes.
Were the eyes only half open? Because usually when something like a person dies, their eyes stay like half open, like they're stoned or whatever.
No. These eyes were wide open. And matter of fact, it looked like it had like a state of shock on its face.
Well, that's possible because of the situation, I would imagine. Now, here's one thing that I see. There's a lot of Bigfoot illustrations out there. Like the BFRO has this sketch project or something. And one thing that I always see that they get wrong at
What'd you say? What's the BFO?
the BFRO.
No, I don't know who they are.
That's Bigfoot Research Organization. That's Matt Moneymaker, the guy who did Finding Bigfoot and all that stuff. They got the biggest database, but they're doing a thing where they're doing photorealistic drawings of Bigfoots based on witness descriptions. But one thing that they always get wrong, at least according to the one I saw, because the one I saw, it was very it was something that really caught my attention, and that was the fact that you have the big brow, of course, but then down the sides of the eye, it was very skeletal, almost like the eyes were set back into a skull. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yep. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. And I'm looking at. I should put your picture down because it's sort of screwing me up because I'm trying to compare it to that, and it's not really.
Yeah, don't get yourself messed up. Also, the cheekbones on the ones that usually people draw aren't correct. The one I saw, the cheekbones came out sideways a lot, like mine does.
So did this particular one. The one of this gets deeper. Trust me, it is fucking mind blowing.
Well, then go on by all means.
The cheek, and this is important because I remember the cheeks being sort of like what you had there, but not as refined or defined as that. And like I said, the space between the nose and the chin was not the same as that. It didn't.
Are you saying the mouth wasn't as big as mine?
Oh, the mouth was big, but it didn't have the lip. It was not as thin lipped as that.
Well, honestly, I'll explain it later after you get done, but are you saying the distance between the nose and the bottom of the chin wasn't as long?
No, it didn't have. It wasn't flat like that. If you look at your picture, the upper lip and the space between that wasn't. It wasn't. Well, it had hair there. There was no. It wasn't barefaced like that. There was hair around its face. Like it was white. It was almost like a. If I didn't know any better, I would thought it was like a. It looked almost. Well, and yeah, it was white. It had whiteness around the upper and around. It actually reminded me that. Now I'm looking at it. It actually reminded me of an older chimpanzee like type of hair around the mouth area. It didn't have. There was no skin. It was all hair.
Yeah, well, don't let mine screw you up because my theory is that mine was an adolescent or a juvenile. It wasn't full grown.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I have never seen an adolescent one, so I've only I've seen two, and this is part of this story.
Go ahead, move on.
All right, so we're all standing around it, right? We're all we can't believe we can't believe this shit, and now the two civilian guys are telling us, they're getting sort of, I would say they're getting a little indignant, telling us to back off and get away from it, and we're basically, we're just looking at these two chumps like, fuck you, this thing, this, the squad leader from Norcross said this thing was, this thing could have killed us. Yeah, he's getting, they're getting a little bit of a.
Okay, before you go on though, how big, how tall, how wide, and how heavy do you think?
I'm going to say this thing was well over 8 feet. I'm going to say about 8'3", maybe 8'4". The broadness of his chest, I'm going to say, was damn near 5 feet. Easily could have been 5 feet. I think that it was, his chest was yeah. If I look at my knees it was about, it was 4 to 5 feet. It was huge. And a matter of fact, Rick, when it hit the ground, and as I'm going to tell you, as we moving the body, you can see the indention in the ground. That's how hard he hit the damn ground. So I'm going to say this thing was well over 470. I'm going to say between 475 pounds to maybe even over 500. Had to be well over it, because he left an indention in the ground, and it was the ground was pretty dry, and he left it, nice little dent in the ground. I was amazed about the size of the dent that it left in the ground.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you this. In my opinion, I think a lot of people severely underestimate the weight of these things. So I'm going to give you a reference. Andre the Giant weighed well over 500 pounds.
Oh, then yeah, I'm way off. I got to be. I got to be way off then. If Andre the Giant weighed over 500, it had to be 650, 7 maybe.
So was it cut?
Let me put it this way. Okay, I told you when we first approached this thing that it had its arm extended up, the right arm was extended, and it had its face landed on its left hand. So its face is on its left hand. Okay, and it's almost, the head was turned to the left. Okay, his legs, his right leg was straight and the left leg was bent up in the air a little bit, just just a tad, and his chest was completely on the ground. Okay, now I didn't touch it. Okay, I didn't touch it. I wasn't one of the guys, but it took 4 guys to roll that damn thing over. It took they tried to lift it at its shoulders. They were trying to lift it at its shoulders. 2 guys were on. Actually, the first time it was 2 guys. One was at the shoulders and one was at like the hip area. They were trying to roll it over. They couldn't lift it. So another guy jumped on the upper torso area and the guy on the leg area, and they were on the hip area, and they got it over, but it took a minute or 2 to get that thing turned over. So I figured yeah. Now you're saying, now that I think about that, you're probably right. It probably was in the 600-700 range. Then it had to be.
Well, in my opinion,
these guys are not little guys. Well built, very very athletic, very. These guys had some. They weren't weaklings. And they struggled to get that thing to turn over.
well, if you ask me, and I'm not trying to influence your testimony here, I would put that thing over 800.
I'm not a really good judge of that. I can only tell you what I do. It took 4 guys to flip that thing over, so you could very right. I can't deny or confirm that. I really can't. But I know how big it was.
But if I said that 800 sounds right, would you say you'd go with that? Or would you say, well, you wouldn't know, so I guess it doesn't matter.
I feel like I'm being dishonest if I say yeah, but I honestly just don't. I don't know, Rick. I can't. I don't know. We didn't weigh it. You know what I mean?
So we'll just say that it was a big bastard.
Yeah, and it took 4 guys to roll it over. Is what I'm talking about. And that there alone, I thought, well, holy shit, I mean, these guys are not weaklings. These were pretty stout guys. They're not. I remember looking back on it. And I've worked out with these guys. These guys were strong as shit.
So was it cut?
They were stronger than I am. I'm not a small guy either. I was 6'1" at the time. I mean, at that time I was cut like a bag of dope, but I was at the prime of my training. But these guys were actually they were older than I am, but they were I'm not saying they were Adonis like, but they were not. They were not weaklings, that's for sure.
So was the thing cut, or did it have a pot belly?
I thought it was pretty cut. To me, it looked like it was cut. Like I said, that was one of the main features I will never forget. It was the detail to them. It was, even the the lat muscles and the biceps, and you can't really see the triceps that well, but you can see there was a bulge in the triceps area, because there's so much hair there. The legs were just so the legs didn't have a lot of they were just they looked like a big ass barrel. You know what I mean? They didn't have a lot of detail in the legs, in the calf muscles. Oh my God, I remember the calf muscles being like huge. The belly area, I mean, there's hair there, so you see a cut there. I only seen the cut, in my opinion, was in the upper torso areas, and I just in the legs area. I remember the calves being huge.
When it was laying on its stomach, did you notice the traps and the rhomboids and stuff like that? Did it have like a really muscular built upper back?
Yeah, the traps were huge, man. Oh my God, it was like I said, I've never in my first impression, my very first impression, I thought we killed a giant. I really did. I thought we killed a fucking giant. It was.
So a lot of people.
And we're going to get to this point, but I was telling you earlier, the even through the gunfire, we could hear the trees breaking. When I saw the trees that this thing knocked over, and This thing was like a two-legged bulldozer.
So the traps, a lot of people explain these things as not having a neck. And my theory is it does, it's just that it has massive traps.
Yeah, no, it's got a neck, but the reason they don't think it's got a neck is because those muscles come together so they're so big there. Yeah, oh my God, yeah. They're wrong. They're totally wrong.
So like Arnold Schwarzenegger, they just have massive traps and it makes it look like it doesn't have a neck.
That and the hair, there's so much hair around that neck. Their neck is thick. That neck is thick. It's wide. It's like the traps absorb that neck. It's all one. To me, it's just like one solid piece of machinery. And I guess that's a perfect analogy to me. It was a two-legged piece of a machinery, is what I thought. Like a giant. I thought we killed I thought it was a fucking giant. I honestly, the first thing I said, and I was astounded. I've never seen anything like this. Like I said, I'm an 18-year-old kid. I don't know anything about Bigfoots or Sasquatch. I don't know what this thing is.
So if you took Batista and covered him with hair,
Batista would look like a midget compared to this.
but as far as shape and all that stuff, just a smaller version.
Yeah, I don't really.
Because he has some pretty massive traps.
Yeah, not like this thing did. Not like this.
So this thing had like it was carrying boulders on its shoulders or something around its neck.
Yeah, everything goes to. It looked like it was all everything. The shoulders look like they're almost like he's got shoulder pads on, and then it gets to the traps, and it goes up to like a almost a 45-degree angle, and it's all muscle. It's just all muscle and trap. It's trap. It's huge. It's actually huge.
So their traps actually attach higher up on the back of their skull than ours do.
Yes. That's what from what I saw it looked like. It's a lot higher. Because the shoulders were so broad, Rick. It was, and then it's just like it looks like you were talking about boulders. The shoulders to me look like boulders. The bulbs of the shoulders. But there's that distance between the shoulders and the traps. There's a lot of distance between those. But when those traps start, it almost looks like it goes up. The traps go almost to halfway up the back of their neck, up to almost to the midway part of their head. It's really weird. It was really, to me, I thought that maybe that's a little too far, but I mean, it's close. It's like,
yeah, I get what you're saying. So the reason I asked about the pot belly is I studied comparative zoology at Harvard when I was in school. It was a special thing that they did for us. And one of the things about gorillas is that their rib cage is shaped different than ours, and that's what makes them look like they have a big pot belly. And I'm wondering, is that the same with a Bigfoot, or does a Bigfoot have what looks more like a rib cage similar to a human, just much more massive, so that it doesn't? Go ahead.
I honestly don't. I don't recall seeing it as a potbelly, but I'm also still seeing, and if it did, I would think it would be more prevalent with it being on the ground, wouldn't it?
Well, see, think about a gorilla. The thing about gorillas is that their pectoral muscles are actually closer together than a human, but they're much more massive thickness-wise, but they're closer together because their rib cage at the top comes together, whereas ours doesn't. So we get that width, the width of our chest, and they don't have a width to their chest. Did this Bigfoot have a wide chest?
I thought I'm sorry. Let me get back to about thinking. I'm concentrating on the belly. I don't remember that belly being abnormally sized or disproportionate to its body. I thought and I could be wrong.
But as you recall, did it look like it was proportioned similar to just a massive human?
Yes.
then that answers my question. That means it has a rib cage similar to a human, not an ape.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, that's cool. Go ahead, move on. I don't want to hold you up. We're up at 2 hours now, which I'm fine with. I don't know if you have to work tomorrow.
So we get a fight starts to break out with these between the squad leader of the North and the two civilians, and I thought it was going to come to because it was pretty bad, and he's screaming at him like, what the fuck, and he goes and then he calms down and he gets he walks away. And the two civilian guys, I'll never forget this. The two guys were talking to each other, right? And they were talking about, well, they're not gonna believe this. We got a specimen, or what I mean, we got another one. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking to myself, what do you mean you got another one? Like they knew about these species. I said, you knew about this shit? I didn't say that to him, but I'm thinking it. Okay, so the squad leader from the east said, he goes, wait a minute. He goes, is this what the fuck you're out here tracking? The guy wouldn't answer him. He wouldn't answer him. This is what you're tracking? And with the straightest face possible, Rick, the guy looks at him and goes, this is not the one we're tracking.
I'm sorry, did you just say this is not the one they were tracking?
Yes, because we were not tracking this one.
So that one wasn't tagged? Or they were on another freak?
No. What he was telling us is that he had no clue that this is not what he was looking for.
Oh, that's nice.
His exact word, and I remember, and I hear it over and over. It plays in my head over and over again. And it's like when he said that, if I had a mirror on my face, it would probably turn white as a ghost. He said that was not the one that he was tracking. He wasn't. Basically, he was saying they didn't know. Like they knew that there's more out here, but they did. This is not the one they were looking for. Well, today I actually, for the first time, I actually looked at the what's the famous one from California, the Gimli one, the black and white, or the color one.
The Patterson Gimlin film?
Yeah, thank you, Patterson Gimli, or whatever his name is. Okay, I actually looked at that and I watched that over and over. You know what? If anybody says that footage there is fake, they're full of shit, because the detail on that and compared to the one that I saw, it was damn near. It was almost identical, but except the fact that the first one was a lot bigger than he filmed.
Well, that one was a female.
But what I'm saying, there's a lot of similarities to. I just don't.
Well,
from what I see, from what I've experienced and what I saw in that 7mm tape or whatever it is, it was not possible to. And I don't know when they filmed it. When was it the 80s or something, or 70s or something?
67, and that one was a female, so it was a female, so it would have been smaller.
Yeah, but that's not small. That to me is not. You said 1967. I'm sorry. From what I've visually seen in my lifetime and what I saw on that tape, had a lot of similarities, and there was no way in 1967 somebody in a monkey suit was doing that.
Oh, absolutely. I've done an episode where I break it down how there's no way it's fake.
Yeah, it's absolutely no way. There's no way that was fake. I find it a little ironic that there's no better footage since then, but with the technology that we have, well, yeah, well, yes and no on that. So this is where he gets fucking crazy at. So we're at this body, right? And the civilian guy tells the North Squad leader to contact HC that we have a body on the ground, and he knows what to do. He goes, so what are we supposed to do? So here we're going to sit here and babysit this damn thing, and ready to get the hell up out. I'm ready hell out of there. You know what I mean? I'm out of here, man.
So the guy, who's he contacting back at HC? Is this your commanding officer or somebody else that's there?
Yeah, he was calling my commanding officer, lieutenant. He was a lieutenant.
So so the lieutenant knew what to do about this?
Yeah, that's what he told the North squad leader. So he contacts him, and and I could hear him respond, and it was very say he calls the LT, he goes, "You won't believe this shit," and you could hear him say, he goes, bullshit. He didn't believe him. He goes, "No, we got this creature ape-like thing on the ground. It attacked my," and then that's all the LT said. It was all I heard. I heard him say bullshit. You know what I mean? Because he didn't believe it. So back. So he was talking about they were checking the map to see where they are. He was trying to correlate this, and then all of a sudden he said this thing. All they heard was loud sticks breaking, and that this loud roar, and he said it was coming at him. And all he could see was the outline of this thing. He couldn't make it out automatically. And his first instinct was I'm going to he shot first, and then the other guys are blind. They're blindly shooting. They didn't know what the fuck they were shooting at. They were just lighting up the damn woods for they didn't know what the hell they were shooting at.
So you've gone back to the one that you just talked about that was killed, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't got to the second one yet. No, I'm trying to figure, where they were just talking about. He goes, man, this guy, he lit up a cigarette. He was sort of freaked him and rightfully so. It freaked him the fuck out.
That was the civilian?
No, the squad leader.
Okay.
Like I said, he was the one that if I had to be he's the only one that had the killing shot into it, because he's the only one to actually see it, because they were in a line. So when you all right, when we stop and you're in a squad, okay, the squad leader's on point, okay. You got a guy that's got a map, or ordnance guy, okay? He's got the map. Now he'll call him over to him, right? So that would be the only guy that would be next to him, all right? Now, there'll be a guy that's on his 6, on guard, watching his 6, and then there'll be a guy to the left and a guy to the right watching like a perimeter, okay? So for him to take up fire, when they first heard these breaking of trees. They said they heard trees breaking, and then a loud ass roar, and then he could see the outline. He said outline thing running towards him. So, in my mind, as a ballistic, the ballistic side of this, he would be the only one. I mean, he would be the only one I thought would actually had the chance of putting a killing blow on it, because the other guys the guy to the behind him and the guy to the left and to the right of him would not be able to see, but they fired as well. So 4 out of the 5 guys were firing into the woods. The 5th guy had all the shit in his hands. He had he had the GPS and the map and all the ordnance shit in his hands. So you wouldn't have been able to access a weapon right away. The shot that killed this thing, there was only 3 bullets in this. Okay, there was one in the the ankle area, and the second one was in the it went through it looked like it went through the shoulder and then went to the chest, and then the third one looked like it went through on the right. The third entry wound was on its left or right, my left. So it would be the right rib cage. It went through the right. So it was only hit 3 times. And there was a hell of a lot of gunfire that was shot in that 3 minutes. There was a lot of ammo that was expensed. I'm gonna say about 40 minutes goes by. All of a sudden, a helo is on our position over top of us. It's got the spotlight, lighting the woods up pretty good. He puts the spotlight on there, and all of a sudden they lower down a. At first, they lower down like a cage. We call them cages. They're to put a body in. They could pull the body up. They could pull a body up and fly off. And the northern squad leader is like he goes, what the fuck do you want us to do with that? He goes, this thing, it's not gonna fit in it. So the helicopter takes off. It takes off. I guess I don't know where the fuck it went to. It went off. It comes back. Another hour passes by, and we're still sitting on the damn thing. Nobody's, in that whole time, nobody's talking. We're so pissed off at these guys, and we're not even talking. And then they did. Oh, okay. So the helicopter comes back, right? Helicopter comes back, and they drop down two bags of rope, of half-inch rope, and he's telling the guy, our squad leader, hook it up the best you can, and we'll go ahead and we'll airship it out of here. So and I had no part of this either, staying there. But so they started tying rope around its legs, around the ankles, and this civilian guy starts running his fucking pie hole again, talking about you can't do specimen, and he kept calling it a specimen, fuck you and your specimen. But he kept talking about you can't do it that way, you got to do it. And they're over there for 15 20 minutes arguing about how they're going to hook this thing up, and of course the helo's getting impatient because they're like hovering in that spot for that one. They want to get in and get the hell out of there. So they rigged it up somehow or another, where they had both feet together and made a loop on it, and then hooked it on, and then had helo lowered the basket back down, but without the basket, just the pelican clip and the wire harness. And you know what? Now you were talking about the weight. This is actually pretty funny because I remember when they hit that winch to pick that thing up off the ground, that the helicopter sort of did a slight lean, a little bit. He had to put a little gas onto the helo to get it to maintain its flight, which I thought was ironic because I've seen those things lift. Well, that's a Chinook. This was actually this is a Huey. This wasn't a Chinook or anything. Chinook, I've seen them pick up tanks like it's nothing. But this Huey had a little bit of an issue picking this thing up, and it picked it up and it took it off, and where it went, I have no fucking clue. I have no clue on where the hell they went with this thing. Just absolutely no fucking clue. It was just awfully eerie. I expected to be in the wilderness, hear coyotes, something, some kind of noise. It was just this uneery, just very eerie ass quiet. It seemed to me when I recollect back on it, and it's just the crunching of the leaves just seemed like it echoed. You know what I mean? It was just so loud. It was almost like you were in a Twilight Zone type of feeling. Next thing I know, Rick, I hear a loud scream, human scream, not this creature scream. I turn to my left, okay, and this creature grabbed Danny. It had Danny. It picked him up so fucking fast. It grabbed him by his shoulder, had him by his shoulder on his right side, and had his left arm, and it picked him up and smacked him across the tree. I didn't even shoot. I was so much in fucking shock that I could not believe what I was seeing through my night vision. it was like I was watching a television program, and then it's like time stood still for a second. It's just like it was like everything slow fucking motion, and then I could hear the gunfire from behind me. The guys lit this thing up. I mean, they lit it up, and it took off fucking running. It even after I could see the splats of blood from the contact from the bullets. I could see that it was red glowing. You could see the glow of the fire. And the tracer fire was even brighter, and it sort of blinded me, semi blinded me with it, where I had to readjust my eyes because the flash from the tracers was too bright. But I actually seen it hit the body of this creature.
And how big was this one?
This one's not as big as this one. This one's actually got tits. This one's not as big as it grabbed Danny like a rag doll, and like I said, he smacked him against the tree, and I thought he was dead. But I remember, like I said, I'm just everything in slow fucking motion, and I remember, and I was looking at this fucking thing, and it was running towards the second guy that was next to me, which is like 10 feet away from me. And Danny was like 20, 25 yards max for me. So we were pretty tightly lined up. It was starting to come towards me, and I froze. I didn't even raise my fucking gun, Rick. I fucking froze. It's like time fucking. I remember the sound of the gunfire, and then my adrenaline was pumping so bad that I could hear the blood vessels pumping. Like I could hear my heartbeat through my ears. That's how that's how fucking freaked I was. Yeah. So this thing and I know they hit that thing at least 10 to 15 times that fucking thing was hit. And it took off fucking running. Again, I couldn't fucking move. I couldn't move. Those guys, guy behind.
Were they in full auto?
Huh?
Were they shooting full auto?
Oh yeah, hell yeah. Oh hell yeah. They lit this thing up. It looked like fucking fireworks. It looked like the fly in a traded area of maybe 15, 20 yards. Yeah, oh yeah. Once the guy behind me, he saw that, I heard the oh shit come out of his mouth. It's like, oh shit. And then, he laid into the damn thing. He shot at it first, and everybody else followed behind that. I can't honestly say that they honestly knew what the fuck they were shooting at, but they were hitting it. Somebody was hitting it. Yeah, it was getting hit. But so they went chasing. About 4 guys went chasing after the guy with the night vision glasses. The one guy that was behind me, I couldn't fucking move. I finally it took me a couple minutes. I got my fucking bearings together. My first instinct was to get to Danny. I went right to Danny. I didn't hear any more. There was no more gunfire after that. I do remember that, but I do remember I went to Danny, and he wasn't dead. He wasn't dead. I was worried about him. So, I started basic CPR. He was coherent. He could talk. He's paralyzed. He's done. I remember looking at his legs and just thinking, holy shit, his legs were smashed up so fucking bad. I couldn't imagine if I never saw what back look like. Because I saw what this thing did to him against the tree, and it happened so fucking quick. When that thing smashed him against the tree, okay. Now he's got a rucksack on, but it didn't protect his lower back. But his upper back. It probably if it wasn't for his rucksack, it probably would have killed him. But I watched when that thing picked him up, Rick, and with such force and ferocity, that I watched his back hit the tree and his legs wrap around the back of the tree. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's pretty intense.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it. It looked like a tree. Like if you were to if a tree could run and hit you, that's what it would look like. It would go like a car. That's basically what it looked like to me.
Like a cloth doll rather than somebody with bones.
But when it smashed Danny across that fucking right, okay, it was actually getting ready. It was swinging, and it swung him. So it swung him to the left into the tree, and then full momentum all the way back. It slung him all the way to the right, and Danny landed. Danny flew. He flew a good. I'm going to say a good, maybe 15 to 20 fucking feet. That's how far it to the opposite side.
You say 50 feet?
No, not 50. But no, it was about a good 10 to 15, maybe 20 feet. It threw him. So it takes him, smashed him against the tree to the left, and in the same motion, when when he was coming back, body, he threw him to the right. Now, thank God.
Is that one-handed? When it threw him off to the 15 feet, was that one-handed?
How'd you know that? Wait, how'd you know that?
I'm just asking, because and how much did Danny weigh?
Danny's my size. Danny was like, Danny's 6'1", and I guess at that time he was probably weighing about 185, 190.
So 185, 190, one-handed. That's some serious strength.
Yeah, but how'd you know it was one-handed?
I didn't. I was just asking if it was, because I wanted to know the strength ratio.
No, it was. Yeah, that's ironic that you asked that, because it was one-handed, very one-handed. Yeah. Yeah,
I doubt that a man could throw 30 pounds 15 feet one-handed like that.
You sure about that?
Well, I do bicep curls with a 40-pound dumbbell. I don't think I could throw it 15 feet.
No, I can't either. I know. There's no way. There's no way.
So 180, that's a serious strength ratio.
Yeah, and that's not including all the equipment. So you add another, you figure he's got another, what, maybe 15, 20, 25 pounds more of gear on?
Yeah, that's a huge strength ratio compared to humans. That's about 10 to 1, I would say, maybe.
Compared to us, I think it's more. It's just the velocity of how fast it happened. I
mean, did it seem like, even though it only threw him 15 feet, like it could have thrown him farther, that it was that effortless?
Yeah. Easily. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're at least 10 times stronger than a human.
But it was just so fucking fast.
And that's a female. That's a smaller, weaker version. I mean, that's just incredible.
Yeah, and Danny's the only one that I actually, I kept up with. I got out what's going on with him, and he had it pretty bad, man. After that, the remainder of his life was, he was in Navy or he was in hospitals. He passed away about, I guess he died maybe 9 years after that incident. And
yeah, so as far as the female Bigfoot now, what happened? I mean, did you ever did she drop and y'all found her, or what happened?
Well, you were surprising about the female. Like, I saw this thing get I saw the number of bullets. This thing took more bullets than the male did. This thing took more lead than the male did. And she went further. Well, see, I can't say that either because I don't know where the starting point for that male was. I don't know where the starting part is. I was only there for the end part. So yeah, I can't go by that. But I thought and I could be wrong. I mean, it's dark, it's green, it's bright green. And like I said, even to the point where the tracer fire was flashing. It was so bright on my night vision. It was like like somebody flashed a cube in your face. You know what I mean? Type of thing. But Rick, I remember the fucking fierceness in her eyes, man. If her eyes could, the way it looked at me, man, I'm not saying it was or just the group of us, and with just the fucking ferocity this thing had. It was just so fucking nasty. It was just like pure, to me, it was pure fucking, it was just a big ball of fucking evil. If these things were actually attacking real people and without a weapon, what a way to fucking go, Rick. Because I can't see these things being gentle if they're killing. It almost brings a tear to my eyes thinking, knowing what I saw as an adult. Imagine what a fucking little kid went through at that time when this thing or these things attacked it. You can understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What a shitty way to go, dude. Wow. I just remembered the fucking teeth and just the look that it's just the ferociousness, man. Them eyes just, I remember them eyes. This is like it went through me like a knife, man. It was wow, man, wow. And it was just like something out of the damn Twilight Zone. I'm not a horror film type of guy. I laugh at that shit, man. But if a director could ever pinpoint some shit like that that she did, man, it would fucking freak probably more people than The Exorcist. It was just.
So the teeth. What did the teeth look like? Human teeth, only bigger, or did they look like a lion, or what?
It had the canines. The canines I thought were normal for the mouth. I thought they were a lot bigger than I'm thinking. When I'm thinking about it now, I'm like, how the fuck did it keep closed its mouth? Because I thought the canines were pretty big, but that's the only thing that really stuck out because I remember it roaring at us. I mean, yelling at us, screaming at us, and I can remember seeing them two fang, the two upper canines were a lot bigger than the upper canines, and the lower canines were abnormally large, for a monkey type of thing. You know what I mean?
So they were larger than like a gorilla. Have you seen a gorilla's canines?
You know what? I would have to probably look at a picture of a gorilla without seeing the gorilla's teeth. I'm going to go. Yeah, those canines were a lot bigger.
So
yeah.
Did
I tell you another thing I thought was actually white as they were. You know what I mean? They were actually pretty damn clean for being a creature. They didn't have there was no yellow tint. I mean, they were pearly ass white.
So you got a chance to see her up close after she was dead?
Oh yeah, yeah. And I remember and about it now. Plaque buildup or nothing on the teeth, man. I thought that was a little ironic. But yeah, they were white. I mean, they were white.
So describe the body to me.
The shoulders were not as wide as the male. It wasn't that wide on there. The way the way this one was laying on the ground, it looked like it. Cause it got a pretty good distance away from where the actual first contact. I remember it was a good 150 yards away from where we first had contact. And the way she was laying on the ground, it's like it looked like after if you were running at a full speed and tripped. So she was on her right side. Her legs were sort of twisted a little funny. I don't know if she passed out, from lack of blood, because there's a shitload of blood. As a matter of fact, that's how they found her. I remember them commenting and said there was so much blood. It was easier they just followed the bloodline right to her. It looked like if you were running full speed and you had tripped, what you would look like if you landed. So her legs were twisted funny. She was also, she wasn't on her stomach. She was laying on her right side. Head was facing left. And the arms were both, everything was extended to the left. And like I said, her right leg was going way to the right, and the left leg was way to the left. But it was bent. I remember that part. I remember it was bent, which was, it was, bent. But this one had this, but the breasts on it were big. It looked like it reminded me of like an older woman with like maybe size Z boobs, but it's really weird. It looks like like the pectoral you can see the pectoral muscle, and then there's skin, and then there's boob, if that makes sense.
So the tits were hanging off of flaps of skin, but as if like if you attach tits to a man with big pecs.
Yeah, they were like oblong, like a big U. You know what I mean? But like, if you were to draw a U on a piece of paper, the two sides of the U went up much higher than the U. You know what I mean? That makes sense.
Yeah, people have commented on the Patterson-Gimlin Bigfoot that the breasts seem to be hanging lower than a human, and that would explain that. So y'all flipped it over on its back?
No, actually, you know what? No, we didn't have to, because we could see
Well,
we didn't have to flip her. We didn't have to flip her over or anything like that, because she was already laying on her side, facing to the left. Everything was to the left. Even her arms were. The only thing that was moved, that I remember being moved on her, is that all they had to do was grab her. They took the arm and took her left arm and just pulled it over behind, and just laid it behind her. You can see the face clear as everything. You can see the boobs. You can see everything.
well, the reason I ask is human females are the only mammal that have labia majora. Gorillas, chimpanzees, they do not have that feature. It's a human-only feature. So I've been waiting for somebody who's been able to see a female Bigfoot and tell me whether or not they actually have labia majora. Does their junk look exactly like a human or not?
No.
And you've seen it?
Yeah, yeah. I know we're sick, but I do recall that. It more reminded me. It more looked like a sheep. I think that's the best way I could describe it. It was more like a very, very hairy sheep.
What do you mean by that? I've not looked at a sheep. Like they just had inner lips but not outer lips? Or was it just a hole?
No, you could see it. No, you could tell it. You could tell it was a vagina. It looked more like to me, it reminded me of almost like a pig's ass, type of, I mean, we didn't go down and, we weren't, we didn't play with it or anything like that. It's, somebody had flashed the light on it. You know what I mean?
So you're saying that you could literally.
Somebody actually made a comment like, I really need to do that. You can't see big tits, but
So you could literally see the vagina itself. It wasn't covered like a human female.
Maybe it's the way she was situated because the way she was laying that we could. I mean, it was a lot of fur there, but it was you could still make an outline of you could tell that it was there. Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
It was it actually was it was sort of caked in that area, like it looked oily, like caked, like hair, like you could tell it. If I didn't know any better, it looked like it probably pissed and walked. You know what I mean, type of thing. If you can understand, like greasy, it was very greasy. It was weird. Yeah.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, But then again, I don't know. It's not uncommon that when you kill something that it loses its bladder control too. So that could have been the reason why there was so much moisture in that area too. She might have peed herself too. She might have her bladder might have let go too. Yeah.
Or maybe the violence got her revved up.
Yeah, that too. I doubt it. Because like I said, I remember that fucking face. I will never forget that face. That ferocity, that face. If that's their idea of fucking horny, that's scary. But,
well, there have been supposedly at least one report that I know of a female Bigfoot kidnapping a human male, a grown man, and forcing him to service her. Now you're saying that there's no way that they don't look at all, like if you imagined a human female laying in that position, it wouldn't look the same.
No.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the situation on that, Rick. I have a hard time believing that something like that. I can't see these things doing that. I just can't. Maybe I could be just wrong, man. I didn't see the ferocity. I didn't see the I didn't see the male. I saw the male after the fucking fact. I just knew what I saw with this fucking female. I can't see it, and maybe they're. I mean, do these things are they sociable or what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, are they all the fucking same? I mean, do they have different attitudes? Some cool and some not, or I don't know. I just don't fucking know. I'm just telling you from what I saw. You saw what the fuck this thing did to Danny, and I remember that fucking face this thing had. It was nothing but pure fucking anger. I have a hard time believing that one of these things would make some guy eat her pussy. I don't know, man.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know about oral sex, but no, I actually just read or heard a report earlier tonight of a Bigfoot that saved a little boy's life from a bull that was attacking him.
From a what that was attacking him?
A bull. A bull broke loose from its pen and attacked a 5-year-old boy, and a Bigfoot came out of the forest and killed the bull. They've been known to help kids go back to camp when they get lost in the woods and stuff like that. They vary. They appear to have a social attitude similar to humans. Like some humans will kill you as soon as look at you, and some are very nice. The Bigfoots evidently have a similar temperament.
Yeah, I saw nothing from this female that would give me a fucking inkling that this thing had any. This is okay. I haven't even got to the fucking kicker. Okay, so you were asking questions. Okay, all right. Here's the fucking kicker. This thing had a fucking a radio collar on its fucking ankle. This was the one that he was fucking tracking. Okay, so this is where the guy fucking failed. Okay. All right. By this point, I guess this damn thing's battery operated. Well, he has no. He wasn't tracking. He had this shit all folded up. He had that gear packed away. He wasn't tracking this fucking thing as we were going back to HC.
Well, that was pretty ignorant.
He could. Now he claims that the fucking battery that he had no power to the equipment.
Well, I suppose that's possible if he was using it all day. I mean, batteries do die.
So it had this. It looked like it was a metal. It was like a steel band, okay, with four box type of. It looked like four boxes that were attached to a metal. If I remember correctly, I think that metal it looked like a big ass metal collar that was okay. It was 3.5, maybe 4 inches wide, and it had four boxes on it, thick like boxes. I don't know what the fuck was. I don't know if that tracking part of it because there was which.
Well, were the boxes were the boxes like the size of a cigarette pack, or were they bigger?
Yeah, how'd you know that?
Just guessing.
Nah, come on, Rick. Really, how'd you know that? That's exactly what they look like. That's a perfect analogy. They look like cigarette on but there was four of them.
That's just what I would think would be a logical design for something like that. That's all.
Yeah, I had never seen anything like that before. So that goes to So of course, my question is one, who the fuck put the collar on her? Okay. And of course, this guy's not answering any fucking questions at this point. We're ready to kill this son of a bitch. I won't be honest. I'm surprised that guy made it out of the fucking woods. To be honest with you, I mean, I found this out. I found this out. Later. But those guys actually were contemplating about putting a fucking bullet in that and leaving him out there and said, "Fuck Sasquatch, got his ass." But yeah, both of them.
So this tracking collar, did it appear like it had been there for a long time, like hair had grown around it and maybe even skin, like it was depressed into the leg itself? You know how when an animal has something wrapped around it, the skin will actually grow around it?
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. No, not like that. How you could tell it was been there for a while, you could tell by the had the that'll look. You could tell that they were probably trying to walk through water to try to get the damn thing off. You know what I mean? It had a little bit of rust and shit on it. It looked like it had been painted like a military green, and you can see where it had been scratched up and dented, and the paint was peeling off of it, and it looked pretty old.
All right, did you say it was OD green?
Yes. Yep.
Well, that's an interesting choice of color.
How so? I mean, it looked like military-ish type of shit. You know what I mean?
Well, that's exactly what I mean. It's OD green. That's Army. Army, Marine. That's military.
Yeah, it was Army green.
So what I'm saying is that's not like civilian. A civilian choice. I mean, a civilian scientist would probably have chosen a color that matched the fur color, or maybe a gray, or some other color than an OD green.
But see, that's not the first question that came to my mind. The first thing that came to my fucking mind, it didn't look like it was like I said, it looked like the 4 cigarette packs on a big band of metal wrapped around her left leg. But the thing about it is I'm thinking, I just saw her pick up my best friend and smash him against a fucking tree with ease, and you're telling me that she couldn't pull this thing off of her leg?
Well, probably not without breaking her ankle. I mean, it's steel. There are limits. I know they can rip doors off of cars, but still, depending on how thick that steel is, she would have had to break her leg.
Yeah, it was pretty heavy. Something from if I had to guess, it looked like something that would have been made maybe in the 60s, maybe 70s.
You mean like
it had that old military look. If that makes any sense. You could tell it had been on there.
Like old shackles.
Yes. Yep. That's a perfect analogy. Yep. It's been on there for a fucking while.
But I mean, as far as the thickness of the steel, it was like those old shackles you see in the movies that are really, really big and thick.
It looked like an old slave ship. That's the best analogy I could. It looked like the slaves and shackles.
So it's feasible to think that she would not have been able to bust it off without breaking her ankle.
Yeah, but I think with it, I guess unless, I couldn't see the inside. It wasn't removed in my presence, so I really I would love to, I would love to see what that thing looked like off. You know what I mean?
Well, I know if I was going to design something like that, there wouldn't be a locking mechanism. It would have been welded so it was one solid piece of steel. Because
it was one piece of solid. It was one. I didn't see anywhere where you didn't see a beginning or ending. If you understand what I'm saying. I didn't see where there would be where two ends were come together that are fastened. I didn't see anything.
So it was welded together. And the thing about that is that if she'd have tried to break that off, not only would she have fucked up her ankle, which would impede her ability to move anymore, it potentially could have severed her Achilles tendon, which again she would be a cripple.
Which would have killed her.
Being a cripple, yeah, she would have had a hard time surviving. Yeah. But I mean, that wouldn't have killed her. It just would have hobbled her. She wouldn't have been able to walk anymore.
But the whole moral of this thing is what I'm trying to government fucking knows about these things. They're tracking them. They know where they live. Things are on a fucking regular basis. If these things are killing women, killing children, killing just human beings, they know about this. These fucking missing persons and they know. I can't say they know where everyone. The male didn't have a track, but this particular female did. And the fact that I have two civilian type, two nerdy fucking, these two guys. In my whole 14 years, I never, I've worked with civilians, but I'm not in the field. Never in the field. Even the Gulf War, I didn't work with civilians in the field.
Oh, I did.
I didn't. So, I didn't. I mean, we had advisors, and I worked with. I intelligence HC. They were never in the field. We debriefed them. They briefed us. We debriefed them. And we Snoopy teamed for them as well too. We brought back an intelligence for them as well. But they were never out in the fucking field with us.
Yeah, I actually.
These two yum yums are really. And they basically took us out. We basically play God. Is basically the way I look at it. We were basically used.
Yeah, you were security. You were security for them to hunt down this rogue Sasquatch. I think that the government is going after what we're calling rogue Sasquatch, and that's the ones that are killing and eating people. I don't think they all are, but I think some of them do. And I've done a show about this if you want to look back and look that up. But I think that the government sends special forces in to kill rogue Sasquatch to minimize their liability for the deaths.
But and I've met I've known many of different special forces guys. Okay, not even from my branch, but from other. Okay, and I've only ran across one other person that was on a hunt for these same damn creatures, but never encountered them.
Oh, so you went after them, but they never actually succeeded?
They didn't succeed. And and I'll tell you what that branch that was a fucking airborne. That was Rangers. They took the Army Rangers in there. That was Army. This guy was an Army Ranger.
Oh, wait a minute. You weren't Army Special Forces?
No, I was with Team 4 out of Little Creek.
You were what?
Team 4 at Little Creek.
Ah, SEAL. Okay.
But and it took me a long to figure out where the hell we were at. We were in close to Allegheny. We weren't far from Allegheny County in Pennsylvania. We were actually very, very close to the Appalachian Trails.
There have been a lot of disappearances on that trail.
Which I found out later. Supposedly, okay, and I don't know how credible it was, but I heard. I didn't hear it directly. It was through one of the actually one of the guys was there. He said that there was an actual family that was been missing for almost 4 days prior to us coming in there. So to me, my question is did they fucking know that fucking snatched by fucking these creatures or some type of or so you made a comment, and I guess it really didn't dawn on me that about these. So the government knows about these fucking rogue Bigfoots or whatever you guys call these. They know that these things, Rick.
Yeah, last I heard was they know these things, and then I lost you.
So they know. So the government knows that these things.
I just heard the same exact thing. They know these things, and that was it.
Oh, that's. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you are.
That's weird. All right, so the government knows. I know for a fact that the government knows about these fucking because they don't put risk. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
You don't put tracking bands on shit you don't know about.
No, I mean obviously if the band is there, somebody put it there, right?
Exactly. And I wish I knew more. I wish I knew more about that. But you got to understand that. Yeah. I'm sorry if I'm pausing. I'm trying to word this right. Danny and I had only been with them, so I wouldn't say we were in the family yet. We sort of not, but they still looked at it as one of their own. So with the traumatic experiences that we had with that, and it just everything just seemed like it was happened so fucking fast, but it didn't happen fast. But in your mind, it seems like it raced by, and you sit back years later and you're just like second guessing yourself, like I should have done this or I should have asked that, or why didn't I? Beat yourself up about it. But those two civilians were trying to get as soon as they could get the fuck. Yeah, questions. There was questions and they weren't going to answer them either. I would love to know. I would love to know where they took these two creatures. I want to know where they took them. I would love to know where they took them. I have no clue on them. Nope, I have no clue.
Well, from where you were, they could have took them to a lot of different places. I mean, what's the flight range on a Huey? What, 350?
Yeah, easily.
So they're talking.
But we're not far from so many damn bases.
Yeah, where you were located, I looked at it on Google Earth, and where you were talking about being located, they could have got to Fort Drum, they could have got to an Air Force base in Ohio, anywhere in Kentucky, Virginia, or West Virginia anyway, Washington D.C., Fort Meade, Maryland, anywhere.
All right, Rick. Well, you remember I was telling you. I remember. Can you see the Appalachian Trail around the Allegheny?
Oh, wait a minute. I'll look it up again. Hold on.
the marker had a blue square, and it said the numbers were 12.
What marker?
A blue. It had a blue square on a piece of wood with the number 12.
What did? What did? I didn't hear it. I must have missed part of that sentence.
The trail marker. Did you get that?
Yeah, the trail marker where you were located on the Appalachian Trail. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, that we passed. We were close to it. So if I remember correctly, we came into the east, crossed over the Appalachian Trail, headed west, and then we slightly north of that. I remember two like small, and they're not. I don't even want to, but I guess they're mountains. But we're in a valley of between two rocks.
Okay, I'm able to pull up Appalachian Trail in Pennsylvania, which, according to this, is pretty close to Philadelphia.
Nah, I'm close to Philadelphia now, and I wasn't nowhere near here. I was. It was
west, right?
Yeah, a lot. It was a pretty wooded area, and it was the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah, I don't know why it's putting the pin near Pennsylvania. That's weird. You were in the Allegheny National Forest, right?
Yes. Maybe it wasn't an Appalachian Trail. Maybe it's just one of their. But it had a blue. I remember the blue square on a red piece of wood, looked like a stake with a point on it, and it had the number 12 on it. Because I made it like I made it like a landmark. I got when you're in an unfamiliar place, you try to get yourself familiar with shit.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll have to look up the Appalachian Trail itself and see where it goes, and let's see if I can find that number 12 you're talking about.
If we were in Allegheny County, we were. I do know that. I mean, I didn't know at the time. As a matter of fact, I didn't know that for at least a year or two after the situation.
You didn't know what?
I didn't. It was like a year or two after the fact, after all this shit hit the fan, that I even knew or got a because again, you don't want to, the only people you could talk to were the people that were there. You get a collaboration of all the different, we all get ideas and we try to pinpoint that shit fucking down. And we had to do that in secret because, we don't know, we didn't, the only time we ever talk about that shit is when nobody else was fucking around. We would about that if we thought brass was even close to being around. You know what I mean? We just didn't want to put any red flags up. We didn't go out drinking and talk about, hey, you remember that time? That shit never happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that kills me about movies when they show people who work at the Pentagon dealing with like top secret information, and they're out at Starbucks having coffee talking about a top secret mission. I'm like, they wouldn't do that. Yeah. Or in a fucking restaurant, a fancy restaurant. Yeah, I mean, you don't do that. You're talking a skiff, period.
Yeah. Now I know for a fucking fact that these underground fucking bases that guys are I do. In fact, a lot of those exist.
Oh yeah, I lived in Winthrop, Massachusetts, and I think it was Fort Lee is what it was called. That was all up underneath the ocean.
I've already spilled the beans about a lot of other shit. Do you know about the one in Atlanta, the base at Atlanta Airport?
No, really, under the Atlanta airport? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Not surprising, though. I've gone through Atlanta when I was traveling, when I was in the military, and that fucking place is, like, just unbelievable.
Well, I only know, from what my research or what I've seen so far, and I haven't gotten that in depth into it, they're claiming there's over 100. I only know of 2. But
What, 100 underground bases?
yeah.
Yeah, I believe it.
Well, I only know of two. I only know one. I know the Atlanta and
I lost you after Atlanta.
Pennsylvania.
Well, where in Pennsylvania?
Hell if I know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. All I can tell you is I've been there, but I couldn't tell you how to out there. Please. You think they're gonna let us? You think they're gonna let some fucking peon? Come on now.
All right, John. Well, we've been talking for almost 4.5 hours, so I'll tell you what.
Hey, but hold on. I got to tell you this though, and this is when I went to this fucking base in Pennsylvania. Okay, there were all these fucking people at this base. Okay, the first thing I thought about. Okay, and I will say that it's in a fucking mountain. It's underground and in a mountain. Okay, I do know that for a fact. But all the fucking people that were in that fucking place, my first thing that came in my mind is, what the fuck are these people parking?
Yeah, that's funny.
But all right, big man, I'm gonna roll out here myself.
All right, hey, it was good talking to you. Great story, and I will discuss it myself on the show. Well, I'll wait a couple of shows so nobody can connect our talking with when I put the show on. But
You know what, Rick? You know what? Your stuff about the government. You know what? I wanted to. The only reason I'm telling you this is because I wanted you to know that you're absolutely right. That you got a firsthand fucking witness. I didn't blow any smoke up your ass. There's no reason for me to fucking lie. I don't want any money from this. Fame, notoriety, nothing. I just wanted to let you know that I appreciate the fact that you had the fucking balls to be the only one on YouTube to fucking call them out, for one, and two, that you're absolutely fucking right. I wanted any doubt or any speculation that you fucking even had to be gone after tonight.
oh, wait a minute. Are you the one that wanted me to read to discuss your story online, or am I thinking of somebody else?
Now I didn't say anything about that. I just want to know. All I'm saying is based on what I saw from the number of your videos on YouTube, you're the only one that actually calls the fucking government out, and you got people fucking telling you that you're full of shit and blah blah blah. I wanted to edify the fact that you are absolutely fucking 1,000,000% fucking right.
Okay, so just to be clear, you're not the guy who said that you wanted to tell me the story to have me talk about it on a show, or was that some?
Yeah, I was. I don't want. I don't want anybody to know that I told.
Yeah, I mean, until I make this talk public, yeah, I'll do it in very. I won't put out any details and stuff, but just verify. Oh yeah, I've talked to somebody who was in a situation, and they verified this, that, and the other, and that's about as far as I'll take it until the show goes public.
Right.
All right, just so we're on the same sheet of music.
And the only reason I contact because you are the only one, and I could be on YouTube for a fucking year, and you're the only one that will call it out for what it is, and that's the only reason why it's 90% of the fucking reason why I'm telling you this fucking story. Nobody other than the 15 guys or 16 guys that were there, okay, know this fucking story.
Yeah, and I think it's appalling that the government has let this go on as long as they have. I think that they need to pony up, admit things, and start helping the families of these people who have been killed and eaten by these things.
If they were killed in state fucking parks, it's their fucking property. Families should be getting fucking missing. You know what? I don't give a fuck if they could prove or not prove. If they came up missing, okay? If they could prove, let's take away the suicides or people that were going there to fucking, they were going there to end it. I don't see the government having to pay for that. But if they've come up missing and they can't figure out why the fuck they came up missing, then they owe reparations to the fucking families of those missing people.
Exactly.
That are killed. Because you know what? The more and more I talk to you, the more, if I went in that cave, I would have had more evidence these things were fucking killing and snatching and doing what you said they were doing.
Well, like I said, I'm an analyst, and to me, that's enough evidence for me to call it.
And I'm telling you from the bottom of my soul, I have no behavior. I don't know any of this shit. I don't. You know, the PTSD I have from it, I've kept my nose out of it. I didn't want shit, or it just upsetted me. So it just hasn't been for the last week that I've actually taken a closer look at this. And the majority of the shit that I see, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I hear shit, but I see shit they talk about, but a lot of it's there's a lot of gray area. But yours struck a chord with me. Everything I saw with yours, a serious chord with me. I watch these fucking videos where these guys are videotaping, and to me, okay, maybe I'm just a dumbass, but to me, if you're that fucking close to a Sasquatch, your shit should be blurry. If it's fucking blurry, I'm running towards that. I was Sasquatch. I'm going to get a better fucking picture.
Well, no. Now think about it. Here, you're a SEAL holding an automatic weapon 20 yards from a Bigfoot that's killing your buddy, and you didn't raise your gun. It's the same. It's the same thing.
No. I understand. Yeah, I'm saying before this situation, I would have been that type of dumbass to run towards one with a camera. You know what I'm saying? Before I experienced what I experienced.
Oh no, I misunderstood you. I thought you were questioning why nobody's taken a picture of one yet.
Oh, okay. No. I'm saying is if I had seen something like this in the woods, when I was, before I ever encountered these things, I would have ran right up to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you broke up the first time. I thought all I heard you saying was running up to him with a camera and taking a picture or something, and I thought that's what you were getting at, is that why aren't there any pictures, Because I think that's what you said in your post, too.
No, yeah, you got to be totally, yeah. I just don't understand why all the pictures
Why all the pictures what?
are blurry.
Well, it's because for the same reason that you didn't raise your gun. When you're in that moment, even if you think about taking the picture, it's a little hard to take a good picture because things happen so quickly. Those things move fast. You have to hold things still. You have to do things just right to get a good picture. I mean, it's like a perfect storm. Unless one's sitting there posing for you, you're really going to have a hard time getting a good picture.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Because now I froze. That thing could have, if it wasn't for the guys behind me, it could have got me too. I wouldn't have been able to do shit.
I've heard a interview of a Bigfoot researcher who's been researching for decades, who had one step out of the woods not 20 feet from him, and he was holding a camera in his hand, and he said, and I'm telling you, I have chastised people for not taking pictures, and I stood there and the thing walked away, and I went, oh my God, I'm holding the camera and I didn't take a picture. It happens to everybody.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough then. I didn't look at it that way. I guess I didn't need to do more research on it. Yes, I see some of these videos, and it's so fucking dudes. They're people in a fucking suit. You know what I mean? It's just like, are you fucking kidding me?
Oh yeah. And there's people out there putting pictures online that are just nothing but a bunch of leaves, and it just happens to kind of look like a face, and they're saying, there's a Bigfoot. I'm like, no, it's not. I mean, if that's a Bigfoot, his head's the size of an orange because that leaf is huge.
Right. But I've seen videos that I've seen the movements of I've seen what these things. I guess unless you've actually and you have seen, close and you see the movements, and it's just I could tell when you're a fucking human in a suit and in the real thing. I think
All right, there you go. Yeah, have a look at that and let me know what you think of it, after you've seen it. And
all right.
I'll talk to you later, buddy.
All right, man.
All right, good night or good morning.
Or good morning, yeah.